Hey guys, on to the second page of the homework, the black and white section, exercise 14. Hopefully these problems are simple and are also pretty black and white. So, find the perimeter and area of each of the following shapes. The diagrams are not true to scale. So why do they tell us then the diagrams are not true to scale? The reason is because when people get these squares and rectangles and circles in the tests and exams, and they can't figure out the answer, what they'll try to do is measure it with a ruler. So we can't do that here because it's not proportional. You won't get the same thing. So it's all theoretical, and we're going to start with it's just question one. Yeah, just question one. So 1A is a rectangle. So notice the notations that they're using here. These notations are very important. So these two sides are the same, these two sides are the same, and 90 degrees. So this tells us that it's a rectangle. It's not a square because all four sides are not equal. So the area equals base times height. I'm not going to rewrite that formula. It's going to be 33 times 15. 3 times 15, 495. And our unit, my eyesight is terrible, I'm getting old. 6 centimeters squared. Okay, next question looks like a square. So here they've given us that these two sides are equal and all the corners are 90 degrees. Okay, so they didn't specifically have to say that the other two sides are also equal. Now you can check this. If you've got a piece of paper and you draw a side, let's say it's 4 centimeters, and then you take a protractor and you draw another side at 90 degrees, which is also 4 centimeters, then the remaining two sides, if you draw this one at 90 degrees and this one at 90 degrees, you'll see that these two sides are equal. So geometrically it can be shown, it's implied that the other two sides are the same. So you don't have to put that in, but we'll fill it in just to be 100%. So this side and this side is equal, and we have a square. So one of the sides is 5 centimeters. The other side is 5 centimeters, and the area equals to base times height. So it's going to be 5 times 5, which is 5 squared, 25 centimeters squared. Okay, now on to the circles. So the circles should be easy as pie, and you should know the formulae by now. I'm going to write them up here. Area equals to pi times r squared, and perimeter or circumference equals, let me write circumference just to be 100% accurate. Perimeter circumference equals to 2 times pi times r. Okay, so thankfully for 1C they give us r as 6 centimeters. Oh flip, actually I've forgotten to do the perimeters of the other two shapes. So sorry, let me go back to 1A quickly. So the perimeter is going to be, if this side is 33 and this side is 15, then this side is going to be 33 and this side is going to be 15 because of these notations, and the perimeter equals to 15 plus 15, which is 30, and 33 plus 33 is 66. So I get 96 centimeters. And for 1B, we have all four sides as 5 centimeters. Remember, we showed that it was a square, so the perimeter is going to be 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. Or if you want to save a little bit of time, you could just say it's 4 times 5, and that gives us 20 centimeters. Okay, now for the circles, let me rewrite it. Area equals pi times r squared. Perimeter equals 2 times pi times r. And I'm not going to write circumference. So we've got, let's start with the area for 1c. Area equals to pi times r squared. So we're just going to plug in the value of 6 where we see the r. So we're going to have pi times 6 squared. Okay, so 6 squared is 6 times 6, which is 36. So I'm going to keep this as 36 pi, and when we plug that into the calculator, we get 36 times shift pi, and I get 113.10. Once again, I'm rounding to 2 decimal places, and our unit is centimeters squared. The perimeter equals to 2 times pi, and I'm going to substitute our value for r is 6. So 6 times 2 is 12 times pi. And I get 37.70, and our unit is centimeters. So guys, remember, perimeter is measuring a length, so its unit is centimeters, and area is centimeters squared. Okay, next we have a circle, and we're given the diameter. So just to refresh, when we have the diameter, it's a line from one end to the other passing through the middle. And the diameter is comprised of a radius from here to here and another radius from here to here. So it's like the diameter equals to a radius plus a radius. So the diameter equals to 2 times a radius. Now, if we want to get radius on its own, we would say radius must then be this number divided by this number. Okay, so it will be d over 2, or a half d. Okay, so it's similar to that question we did on the first page with the triangle, where we were finding h, and we said it's this number divided by this number. So the radius is d over 2, or a half d. So let's just fill that in. If d equals to 4,2 centimeters, then radius is d over 2, which is 4,2 divided by 2, which is 2,1 centimeters. And now I'm going to plug and play. For area, we have pi times r squared, so it's pi times 2,1 squared. So work that out first on your calculator, 2,1 squared, and then multiply that by pi. I get 13,85 units centimeters squared, and our perimeter is 2 times pi times r. So I'm actually going to just put the r in right away. So 2 times 2,1 times pi, and I get 13,19 centimeters. Okay, next we have a half circle, a half moon. I don't know if the moon affects anybody's personality, or if anybody has a faith where they use the lunar calendar instead of the 365-day-a-year calendar. So we've got, I'll redraw this, we've got a half circle, the diameter d equals to 10,5 centimeters. So the radius is d divided by 2, so it's 10,5 divided by 2 is 5,25. d over 2, 5,25 centimeters. Okay, so the area of this shape is going to be half the area of a full circle, and the area of the full circle is pi times r squared. So it's a half times the area of a full circle. So now I'm going to substitute the values. A half stays the same, and then we've got 5,25 squared. So generally I'll do this 5,25 squared first because of good old BODMAS. And I get 43,30 centimeters squared. Okay, now for the perimeter. The perimeter is the border length. So we have this curve and the straight line. So we can't just calculate the length of the curve, otherwise we have an open side, we have a piece missing. So the perimeter is, and I'm going to call the length of this curve C. So the perimeter is the length of C plus the diameter D. What is the value of C? Well, because C is half of a circle, it's going to be half the circumference. So let's work out C separately. I'm going to do it over here. So C is a half, and then a half times perimeter. So it's a half times 2 times pi times r. So the same formula here, I just put a half in front. A half times 2 is 1, so I'm just left with pi times r. So pi times r, so it's so C is equal to pi times r, and I'm just going to substitute it straight up, 5,25 plus diameter, which was 10,5, and we get a final answer of 5.25 times equals plus 10.5, and I get 27 centimeters. Okay, lastly we have a 3/4 circle. So it's like a Pac-Man with his mouth a little bit too greedy there. Mouth is a little bit too open. And we've got a similar idea to what we did in 1E. So here we have a 3/4 circle. So in 1E we times everything by half because it's a semicircle, it's half a circle, and over here we're going to have 3/4 times everything. So let's start off with the area. They give us the radius. Radius is 21 millimeters. So we're going to have area equals, so it's going to be 3/4 the area of the circle. So it's 3/4 times pi times r squared. And I'm going to now substitute 3/4 times pi times 21 squared. Plug and play. Squared times 0.75 times. And I get 1039,08 units millimeters squared. Okay, now let's move on to the perimeter. So we have 3/4 of a circle plus a radius plus a radius. So we're adding this curve, I'm going to call it C, and then we're adding a radius and another radius. Perimeter is C plus radius. What is the value of C? C is 3/4 of a circle, so it's 3/4 of the perimeter, which is 3/4 times 2 times pi times r. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite that here. So 3/4 times 2 times pi times, and I'm just going to substitute for our radius 21, and then now we're done with C. We're going to move on to adding a radius plus a radius, and the value for radius is 1, and the other is also 1. So this comes out to 21 times 2 times 0.75 times pi. So the value for C that I get is 98,96, and then plus 21 plus 21 plus 21 plus 21 plus 21, it's 140,96, and our unit is millimeters. Okay, so just focus on the methods that we're using here. You'll see that you can't really be tricked too much over here. They can either ask you to find area, or they can ask you to find a side, and there's no funny things in between. And then for these types of shapes, the circles will always be asked because they're just a funny shape and people are uncomfortable with them. So yeah, just get used to these formulae, practice them a few times, do some of the simpler examples, and yeah, just get comfortable as well with typing things in your calculators, because some of these answers, like if it was a compound shape, then the answer for the one shape, the answer for the total shape depends on the answer for both shapes. So if you get the one shape wrong, it affects the final answer. So yeah guys, that concludes the unpacking of the homework. I'll chat to you guys on Skype tomorrow, and yeah, if you guys have time, please watch this video, else we'll just discuss during our call. Thanks guys, take care.